Okay, and we are live. Hi, can you ladies see me?
We
Yep.
can see you.
Hi, good, good,
Hi.
good. And I'm just checking on my personal page, everyone. Hi, everyone, before we get started, just to make sure that I can see the three of us.
Yay.
Here we go. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Eileen Carlucci, and I am the author of the upcoming book, Your New Life Starts Now. And I am a speaker, lifestyle design coach, and a stylist. And every single Wednesday, I am here interviewing fabulous female entrepreneurs who are making their impact and their mark in the world. And tonight I have two women. I'm telling you, they are absolutely incredible. What an honor and privilege to get to know them. We have Janelle Anderson, and she is an author of a newly released book, and we can't wait to share more on that. I'm reading the book now; it's unbelievable. And then we have Becky Norwood, who is the CEO of Spotlight Publishing, and she is Janelle's publisher for the book. So this is like just going to be an epic live. So thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's a
So
pleasure.
welcome. So first, I'm just going to share their bios, like just so you can really get in the world of who these amazing women are. And then we're going to have a conversation about, how they started their business, about the book. So I'm so glad everyone's here to listen tonight. So Janelle is a speaker, an author. She's a confidence coach for women entrepreneurs, helping them to own their expertise, monetize their message, and attract more clients. That is so valuable. With her powerful confidence building formula, women are able to conquer the imposter within and speak up with confidence and clarity and make their brand stand out in the marketplace. Janelle is the creator of Speak Confidentially to Sell, her signature course focused on messaging and speaking with confidence, and the Fearless Woman Mastermind programs. Her newly released book, Take Center Stage, Be the Star of Your Own Story, is now available on Amazon. Woo woo, and it's so good. And Becky is a #1 international best-selling author, speaker, and book publishing expert. She's the CEO of Spotlight Publishing, which I mentioned, and has brought over 300 authors to #1 bestseller. That is incredible. Wow. She is widely recognized for the empowering and intuitive way she guides others to weave storytelling into their books and marketing. She incorporates her methods with sound marketing that is the pathway for business expansion and audience growth. And Becky believes that a well-told story is the gateway for growth, sharing, and a way to unite humanity. Oh, how true. She is an advocate for positive that comes from sharing our creative genius and impacting our world in positive ways. Wow, wow, wow. So thank you again, ladies, for coming. And why don't we just have, we'll definitely make this more of a conversation, but just kind of share, both of you, on your journey, like your why and how you got into your business or, to become authors. Love to hear. Whoever, Janelle, if you want to go first.
Sure. Yeah. I became a coach when I was 61. So
Wow.
I had a couple of careers before that. And for me, it all started in my 50s, my late 50s, which is actually how the book started, being born in my heart, because it really shows the journey I went through during those years where I was waking up, and I was like,
yeah,
why am I working a job that I don't really love? And wow, 50 some years just went by so fast.
Oh, yeah.
And that means, it's going to continue. So I need to step up and do something. I need to find my purpose. I need to find what lights me up and what I'm passionate about, because I can't just keep being an administrative assistant and a bookkeeper for the rest of my life. It just isn't my thing. And my boss even recognized it in me. She was like, you are way too big for this job. You have way too much in you for this. And she would, be pushing me out the door. That's how much she loved me. She was the best boss I think I ever had. But
Wow.
Anyway, so I started searching, what is that thing? I didn't want to settle anymore. I didn't want to just create another job.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to work for myself. I knew I wanted to create a business that I could do well into my retirement years and beyond. and it had to be something I was super passionate about so that I didn't get bored and restless. So I looked and looked for several years. I thought about different things. I started down different paths and knew, each time it was like, no, this isn't it. This isn't it. So I'm going to keep on looking. And then I was working at our local university women's center as their administrative assistant office manager. And they gave everyone the StrengthsFinder assessment, which I love assessments and I love trying to figure out what people are all about. I've always been interested and curious about people. So I took that, and one of my top 5 talent themes is developer. And in that description, it was like, oh, that's why I loved teaching. And that's why I loved the part of my manager job was developing people. And when we had our own business, my favorite part was developing my staff and getting to know them and drawing out their best. And so in the description, it said, you might want to be a teacher, a manager, or a coach. And I was like, well, I've done the teaching. I was a teacher. I'm a manager now, so maybe I should be a coach. And in that process, I began to learn how to coach people around the strengths assessment. And I found that I was so excited about it every time that I was like asking everybody I knew, go take the StrengthsFinder. And my family, my friends, like everybody, go take the StrengthsFinder and then call me. Okay. So I can sit down and coach you. And so that was, when the aha moment hit me, like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. So then I started researching all about coaching. Is this really a business I can make money doing? Should I start it at my age? 61. That's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah. I
but,
get
but
that.
then I decided why not, and went for it. And I love it. And so that
Yeah.
started me on the path of coaching. And then as I got it more and more into that, the teacher part of me wanted to still be involved. And so I started doing workshops, and then I decided I really needed to get out and speak more. And I wanted to get on stages. And then around that time, as I started doing that, then I decided, well, I really felt like this book had to be written. And it just kept coming up, that I had to tell my story. And I thought at first this was just going to be about women going through the midlife years and finding what they really wanted to do. And then I realized as I did that, I needed to really tell the whole story of my earlier years of trauma and why I really was not confident for years and years. And that really was what put me out there on center stage. That's what really spurred me out to really just be me and to speak and lead and teach and do everything that I'm doing now. I never would have done this stuff, 10 years ago. I would have been too scared.
Yeah. I
So
get
then the
that.
book had to be written. So then, so along the way, I was a coach, and then I started speaking, and now I'm an author. And
Yeah.
that's how I came to do what I'm doing today. Yay.
So so you coach women entrepreneurs. So you kind of started with, did you start like as you grew confidence and were getting your training? Did you start with like entrepreneurship right away, coaching female
No,
entrepreneurs?
my first focus was on women going through, the midlife. Well, it started with women over 50, and then it was women over 40 because I started attracting a lot of women in their 40s.
Yeah.
And so for a while, for several years, it was helping women 40 plus quit their day job and do what they really want.
Mm.
Because what I love doing more than anything else is helping people discover who they are. And,
Yeah.
and to
Mhm.
I see the potential in them. That's that developer in me, is I've always had this ability to just kind of spot it and see it in people when they don't even see it. And I'll
Yeah.
see something in them and I'll be like, oh man, that's awesome. You should like do that. And a lot of times they're like, what? And so for me, it's so much fun to get them to believe in themselves and
Yeah.
then start to take action to pursue.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what happened was after a few years of that, I started really networking in my local area here, and I started going to chamber events and networking events. And I started getting clients that were already doing what they loved. They were entrepreneurs, they were business owners, but they still lacked the confidence, the whole
Yeah.
imposter syndrome thing.
Oh, yeah.
So as I started to see that happening, I thought, well, actually, I really love working with women that are already doing stuff, but just want to go to another level and want to do the inner work that they've never done before.
Yeah.
And, it was just, they were ready to do this work, whereas sometimes the women that aren't sure yet what they want to do were still kind of like, I don't know if I should hire a coach. And, so there was always that hesitation. I mean, I'm still attracting those women too, but focusing on the entrepreneurs on confidence really became, more of my thing. And then along that line, I started really seeing the need to help them learn how to speak up with confidence, how to find their voice and how to get their message out there. And so that's where I've been focusing this past year. And
Yeah.
it's really because that was my journey too, and I felt like I didn't have a voice. I felt like nobody wanted to hear what I had to say and kept quiet and didn't I played small. I didn't go for my dreams. I didn't stand up and say what I really wanted and kind of always went along with the flow of what everybody else wanted. And I see that a lot in women.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've discovered along my journey how to stand up for myself, how to have a voice, and to know that I have a voice, that
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
have to share is valuable and it is important. So when I believed what I believed before wasn't true. And, what you believe is really what drives you and in your behavior and your life that you create. And a lot of times what you're believing isn't true,
Yeah.
you
Stuff
know?
we made up, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have different kinds of like, group coaching, one-on-one? What are your packages and programs and, like, go a little more how you help women through the process?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, I definitely do one-on-one coaching, and that's how I
Okay.
started. But I also love to teach. So I have a course I've developed over the past year or so, and I've done lots of little workshops and little courses along the way, but this is my signature course. And I've worked really hard on getting it to be what I really want it to be and what really seems to bring women results. So it started off being just about confidence in general. Then
Hmm.
it got into confidence in speaking up
Yeah.
and finding your message and your voice. And so that's what they do in that 6 weeks is they really nail their message, and then they learn how to speak, some speaking skills, how to tell stories, and then build their confidence in that. And then that 6 week course I run 3 times a year. And then from there, if they really want to work even deeper and start to get on podcasts and learn how to speak on video and get their speaker one sheet together and put their signature talk together, then they can join my 6 month program that I'm just kicking off actually soon.
Wow.
Oh,
So
awesome.
you said it was 3 months first or
The first one is a 6 week course
6 weeks? Okay.
online, yeah,
Okay.
and then from there they can come into the mastermind, which I'm really excited about because we can really work on stuff and get everybody
Yeah.
to that level. Um,
Yeah. That's
so I do
awesome.
that, and of course, I do the one-on-one coaching, and then with the book, the book and the workbook, I'm going to also be offering a course or like a little book club kind of program where women can
Love
come
that.
together as a group and go through the book and the workbook, so to do more of the inner work.
Great idea. I
So
love
yeah,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then
That's
I
so
also have a
awesome.
podcast, so I'm out there speaking on my podcast, and
Yeah. You do a
uh,
great job. I was on your
you.
podcast. Thanks for having me. It
Yes,
was
you
really
were.
a
Yeah.
wonderful experience. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And then I
Yeah.
also do kind of on the side a speaking club for women. It's not my brand, but I'm a club facilitator for Speaker Sisterhood,
Oh,
which is
nice.
Well,
really nice.
How
Yeah.
fun is that? Yeah. Well, you were
Yeah.
up to a lot. I love
I,
it. And thank you for sharing all that. Yes.
sure.
And Becky, so let's hear share on, what's your why for starting your business? And, I know you've writing a book, everything. Just share. We can't wait to hear.
Thank you. And sorry, my dogs know this is my normal stop time, so they're like, oh,
Oh,
come
okay.
on.
No worries.
So
No
sorry
worries.
about the extra noises.
Yeah.
Well, my journey started in my mid-50s as well. It's interesting that, that we kind of come to that place where just some things just don't make sense. I had grown up in a very, very abusive environment as a child, and it took me well into my adulthood to figure me out, and so I have never really worked for anybody in my whole life other than in a family business, my own business, or something that's been started by a family member. And when I was in my early 30s, I was just right around 30, I became a single mom. I was had a 13-month-old, and I was 6 months pregnant, and my husband decided marriage was over. And so I was kind of, I just stayed very busy, and I had the opportunity to take over a family saw blade sharpening business. And I sharpened for all the fire departments and all the steel mills around for many, many years. And it provided a wonderful living for my little family. And I did not remarry until after my children were grown. And so through that whole process, I think it was because of the fear that I would attract another one of the same kind as my first husband and my father.
Yeah.
And so through the journey, there was bouts of depression. There was things that just kept eating at me as to the why behind it all, and who am I, and am I really worth anything? Who wants to listen to me? And then the economy changed, and my daughters left within 2 weeks of each other to go off to college. And suddenly my home was empty. And I was used to always lots of kids being in my home. It was the hub for all activities, with the kids. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with myself? I did not want to sharpen saw blades. So I looked for something else and decided, ta-da, I'm going to start a lingerie business.
Wow.
And for people that knew me as a saw sharpener, I would wear headscarves and respirators and earplugs and gloves, and it always come out just grungy dirty.
Yeah.
And then lingerie, there was corsets and bustiers, and
Yeah, that's like a total opposite end.
and the people that knew me for a long time were like, what? And so, and then the economy was going crazy, and I had chosen a location in a very kind of upscale, but it's Old Town Glendale for here, which is an old center where there is all kinds of real novelty shops. But the only time, what I didn't realize when I got this shop, was that the only time they had people going through the neighborhood was sporadically through the week, but usually only on the weekends and holidays. That was it.
Yeah.
And it just was, and then the economy was going crazy, so it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Which was fine. I learned a lot and I enjoyed it. But then I started watching what was happening during that time of economic change. And I said, well, what is it that keeps the business open? Why are so many of my friends losing their business? What is it that could really make the difference? So I started going back and forth from Phoenix to San Diego. I had done a whole lot of research. What do I, trying to figure out what did I really want to do?
Yeah.
And this gentleman, his name is Mike Keelings, and he was teaching these courses, and I would go at least once a month for a week and go for these classes. And it was how to use text messaging for, in a business, and how to use automated email systems. And those were things that were pretty new at that time.
Yeah.
And so immediately I started a business doing those kind of things, and how to use video in your business. And then at the very end, and I did all of those and had really great clients over that time. And at the end, he started talking about publishing, and his motto was "You everywhere now." So he started talking about publishing. At the time, I immediately knew what the name of my book would be. I had not a dream of being a publisher. And the name of my book is The Woman I Love, because I discovered that I needed to learn to love myself first and foremost before I could truly be loved by anybody else. And so it was kind of an explanation of my journey. And, the book I did all the things that he taught. I started a Facebook page and a Facebook group, and I had a huge following. And I did a lot of all the things he said: social media, the text messaging, the email sequences, build a list, all that good stuff. But then that book got published, and I became an international #1 bestseller. And people were reaching out to me saying, wow, Thank you. Thank you for sharing the story, because it was at the start, just at the start, where people were standing up, and the tools and resources that we have in the self-publishing world were just brand new, but becoming available. And here I was on the cusp of all of that.
Wow.
And so the response I got prompted 2 more books called We Choose to Thrive. And in those 2 books, there were over 50 women that shared their story for the first time.
Wow.
And, at the time, I only did 2 because I got to the point where I just couldn't keep hearing the stories over and over again. And I couldn't let it be my realm, because I was still very tender with the whole subject matter. But still, I've watched those same 50 women go on to do incredible things for having the courage, that first step of courage to stand up and really, truly tell their story. And then I just started having people say, can you help me publish my book? And it has graduated into this beautiful, gorgeous business, and getting to meet amazing women like Janelle, amazing human beings that are bringing such incredible wisdom to the world. And the publishing world changes it seems like every 5 seconds. There's new things. There's like I had a book launch today for an author. Amazon changed their algorithms, so what would have been not so hard to become a #1 bestseller, we just barely made it anywhere. She's in there about 15 in her categories, but normally it would have been an easy #1 because of all the work that she did.
Wow.
All of us in the publishing realm are saying, okay, now what do we do? Because how do we, we're all doing the same thing, and what do we do? So it's been quite a journey. But what has developed for me is I'm taking a certification class on Rewrite Your Life. And it's a beautiful course, because what I see, I get invited to speak a lot, and a lot of times they're writing groups and coaching groups, and women say endlessly, it's the same story. Why would anyone want to hear my story? I'm writing just because it's therapy, but why would and I ask, are you going to share your book with the world? And there's no, why would anybody want to hear my story? Who are you not to let your story be heard?
Exactly.
And so there's what my dream is and has been, and what I'm working towards is also, doing having a coaching where they start with that story, and we develop the strength of the story, and where they can start speaking, and where they have the courage to stand up, and then take them all the way through in the publishing process. And I think that's where my dream, I've had a lot of different types of books. I've had children's books. I've had a few nonfiction, mostly nonfiction, and a lot of memoir biography. But, I feel like if a person can understand, just like Janelle did a remarkable job with what she's done with her book, because I think there's 4 pillars to a story told.
Okay.
A pillar is you become an advocate for those who have no voice, that don't realize there's something different. You become a truth teller. You become a way shower, and you unite people you bring them together to find the support systems that they need to give them the courage just to go forth in the world. Because I feel like each one of us, as we do that, form a ripple effect of goodness out into our world. And that's why it's so important, to really make that difference. Because without that, if we hide our lights under the bushel basket, who are we to do that?
Yeah.
Who are we?
Exactly. Who are
And we really need to shine. Need to shine.
Yeah. No. Wow. Wow. That's so amazing for someone to have you help them through this journey, right? Because trying to do this self-publish yourself, I'm sure is, not easy, right?
A lot of work.
To have you help them and really make sure it gets ranked and it's a good quality book. And, that is amazing. So let's talk about the book now. So So yeah, I am reading the book. I absolutely love it. And then we'll talk about like how Janelle, like you know, and you could both share how you take that through a journey, right? Like, you know, so you came kind of share how you met Becky and like did you have the book written first or how did this tell us
Yeah.
about it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to show you the book.
Eee.
So pretty.
It's gorgeous. I
It's
love
a beautiful
that.
book. It
Yeah.
truly
Yeah,
is.
I love it. Yeah, I was in show business, so I love that stage and the lights. I
Yes.
think it's
And
beautiful.
Becky found the picture. We were looking for all
So
kinds of
pretty.
different pictures. I needed a stage. I wanted the stars, and then this even has butterflies in it, which is part of my branding. And then the
Yeah.
font is so like theatrical and oh,
Yes, it's beautiful. I love
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So I had already pretty much written it when I met Becky. Well, when I met her the first time, I was still writing, but I had a initial conversation with her about publishing before I was ready, because I was talking to several publishers, and I knew I had written a book. I had self-published a book in 2017, a little prayer journal, and I just did it all myself. But I knew this time I wanted to work with a publisher because I wanted a beautiful cover, I wanted the inside to be beautiful, and I wanted all the expertise with launching and getting it distributed and all that stuff that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I met her through, you know, we're in the same kind of community, around the same people. And so I had an initial conversation with her and I really liked her. I felt a connection right away. And you can tell just from what she just said, like, that's why she's my
Yeah.
publisher.
Very passionate about what she does and how,
Yes. I
like
love
get
her
your
heart.
story out there. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just how, you know, her whole package that she puts together, it has everything. And I thought, well, that's who I want to work with. So then I finished writing and I used one of the editors that she recommends, but this was still before I had actually officially signed on with her. And I got it all edited, went through that process, which is interesting by itself.
It is.
And then once it was all edited, then I went to Becky and I said, okay, let's make this thing happen. How do we do this thing? And it was only like about 4 or 5 months, I guess, from the time we started working together to launch day. But there's even, you know, once it's edited and ready to it's ready to publish, but not really because there's a lot. And you know,
Yeah.
when she started walking me through that whole process, I was like, whoa,
Yeah. So you write
okay,
it and then it's like, okay, I wrote it and that takes a
yeah,
lot, you know.
yeah.
And then
So it's
now
not
it's
just,
like all this other, you know. Yeah.
yeah, it's not just giving her the manuscript and saying, go ahead and publish it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I always say it's not for the faint of heart because there's so
No.
much that goes into it.
Testimonials and all that, right? The forward, like there's
Hmm.
a lot to, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Wow.
design inside and,
Yeah.
you know, the cover and your book description and your author bio. And there's a media kit you put together.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm leaving anything out, but there's just, and then I did the videos where you can, you know, with the QR code.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So
there's
anyone who
QR codes
purchases the
in there.
book, there is the QR code there. And
Look how pretty the
yeah,
design
I
is.
love it. You go,
It's just beautiful.
yeah, and then there's beautiful Janelle, and she's
Yes.
on YouTube with a video, and it's like you really get to know her as you're reading the book. Like I think that was so unique and special. I've never seen that in a book ever.
It just
Yeah.
makes
Yeah,
it
I hadn't
personal
either.
and kind of makes
Yeah.
the book interactive.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
And then
Yeah.
just the design inside. I mean, the font on the headings and my little logos in there. And then they made this little flourish.
I love that. Yeah,
I
so
just
pretty.
love it.
Yeah, it's just so unique and
Love
yeah,
it.
yeah, so
So
nice. You must be so proud.
I
Did
am.
you want
And
to share anything else on the book or like,
sure. Yeah, what it's about.
yeah,
Yeah.
just so everybody can kind of,
Yeah. So, you know, like I said, it really kind of came out of that journey of self-discovery and waking up. I call it the first chapter is about waking up and then saying yes to yourself to go for what you want. And anyway, what I did before I wrote the book is I knew that was kind of like the idea. So then I decided, well, let me see what my journey has been like. And I've been journaling for years and years, like 30 years. And so I have all these journals filled with thoughts and things that I've seen in my prayer time. God gives me these pictures, and then I'll ask him, well, what does that mean? And then I write down what I hear him saying. And so, you know, piles and piles of these journals. So I read through all of them. And I was like, this is amazing, this journey I've been on, and these things that I heard from God to my heart years ago are coming true now. I didn't understand them then. And I
Right.
started like kind of seeing this path I had been on, and especially during this phase in my life where I was like waking up, and during that time of waking up, I was sitting in church when my pastor was talking about the path of destiny, and he draws a picture on the board, and he says, we all have a path of destiny. We all have something we're created to do and to be in this world, but that doesn't mean you're guaranteed to fulfill it. You have something to say about it. You can say yes, or you can step off the path and do your own thing. And I was sitting there going, and during this time I'm feeling like, gosh, time's going really fast. And all of a sudden, like, I realized I could get to the end of that path and look back and see that I didn't do what I was really uniquely designed to do. And so I sat there that day like, this can't happen. I have to get on the path.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then as I was doing that, I realized along the way that there's a part of my life that I have hidden away, and I've never dug into it. I've stuffed it away. I hid it away. I didn't want to think about it. I haven't talked about it. I haven't processed it. I thought, it's like 30, 40 years ago. What impact does it have now? Why should I dig all that stuff up, right?
Yeah.
But I kept running up against this wall, like I knew I was not connected completely to who I am, and I was having a hard time like really expressing myself.
Yeah.
And in this journey, it was even before I started writing the book, I really knew that, and it's in the book, it's this vision I had of this garden where God was really speaking to me about this deeper part of my heart that was like stuffed away and covered up and wasn't cultivated. And he was asking if he could go deeper and cultivate that part of the garden. And I knew he meant going back to the past. And so then I stepped into that.
Yeah.
And I finally said yes to myself that, okay, I really need to open up those doors of those closets where all this stuff is, bring it out, look at it, process it, get healed. And so as I was going through that, and it was a several year journey, I started to feel like I remember sitting there one day thinking, I'm taking center stage of my life. I feel like I'm walking out on center stage, and I've been hiding behind the curtain all this time. And I'm walking out going, here I am. And I'm just like, ah.
Front and center.
Yeah, and not afraid anymore of what anybody thinks of me.
Yeah.
Or anything, because I started to really get to know me for the first time, I think, ever.
Wow.
And so then I realized that I needed to tell that story and write it out for the first time. And by that time, I had been sharing it. I had shared it a few times publicly.
Right.
The first time I did, I was shaking in my boots and just thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to faint up here. But I got it out, and that was huge because it just was like this weight lifted off of me that I actually told people. And then I saw what impact it was having on women coming and saying, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's helping me. And then I realized, because I always felt like if I told my story, it's heavy and it makes people feel bad. And why would I want to do that? But it's not really about the story. It's about opening up the doors to letting people see that, we all have things in our past, and really bringing it out into the open. It takes away the power of the shame that you feel,
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay to be real. It's okay to open up and share, your story with trusted people, not with everybody in the world, but
Yeah.
and so the more I did that, the more healing I got out of it. And then I started to really understand for the first time what happened to me in my 20s. Because I had always viewed my younger self through these eyes of like, that was shameful. That was really bad what you did and what you allowed to happen to you. And I was always ashamed of her. And just so everybody knows, just quickly, it's in the book, but when I was 19 in college, I was drugged and raped. One night I'd gone out with my girlfriend to a bar to hang out with friends. And the next thing I remember is waking up in my bed with this guy on top of me. And then I blacked out again. And when I came to in the morning, I realized I had just lost my virginity. in a one night stand with some guy I don't know, and this load of shame. Brene Brown talks about shame storm, like
Mhm.
huge. And
Yeah.
so in my mind, I was a piece of trash and I was worthless because I had somehow let this guy have sex with me. It didn't dawn on me that he drugged me. I didn't realize that.
Right.
And I didn't think it was a rape. Like I never once thought it was a rape
Right.
until 30 years later when I'm getting this inner healing counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And in a session, I tell this story of how I remember that night. And the woman's going, I think you were drugged and raped. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So
So you know,
I,
yeah, because you never didn't really tell anyone, right? You
yeah,
just
I never told
and now
anyone.
she's letting you see this whole experience with different
Yeah.
eyes. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
how it, yeah.
And it suddenly dawned on me that I had been a victim and I had been traumatized. I'd never thought that way before of myself.
Yeah.
And that some guy had taken advantage of me. And then that happened when I was 19. And 4 years later, my boyfriend at the time began sex trafficking me in Las Vegas. And I thought again, well, this is my fault. I'm going along with
Mhm.
it,
We do
Yeah.
that. Yep.
don't we?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So all the shame had kept
Yeah.
everything hidden in that garden, that garden picture. But when I started to dig through it and lift the shame, and the way to lift the shame is to begin to talk about it and get it out in the open. And then I realized I began to look at this younger self of my younger self with different eyes, with eyes
Or
of
empathy.
compassion,
Yeah.
forgiveness, and empathy. And I began to just kind of like wrap my arms around myself, like, and, just with compassion, and was able to let all those pent up emotions out. And I really grieved for my lost youth and
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. And that really like brought a cleansing. And as I began to be able to see my younger self and the value I had even then, I was never worthless. And these things happened to me, they weren't who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Then that enabled me to begin to actually write it down and tell it. And now,
Yeah.
I tell it all the time. So, but that part of the journey of writing the book was really hard because to sit down and write what happened was, I couldn't do it for a while. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could, yeah, and I really acknowledge you for being so open and vulnerable and sharing because it's not easy. When you put a
Yeah.
book, you're really putting yourself out there and sharing your story, something that you didn't tell people.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, look at how many women are going to benefit that have been through experiences like this from you telling
Yeah.
your story. And it's just like
Yeah.
a relief, like, and then what you've done with your life, right? And
Well,
how you're
that's the thing
contributing to
is,
women and writing this
yeah.
book, and you have a beautiful family, and yeah.
Yeah. That's
So,
what my sister said during our launch party. I don't know if you remember Becky, but she was
mhm.
even
Do.
in tears, and she knew what had happened, but she'd never like read all the details. And she said, it's,
She was crying
it's,
during that
yeah, she
during
was
that
Yeah,
crying.
time.
I know. I saw, yeah.
That's right. You were all there. She felt
Yeah.
really bad, but then it was like, but there's this redemption story in there.
Yeah.
That's the main thing to focus on is, yeah, I went through stuff, but a lot of people have been through worse. And the main thing is like, how do you take what happened and allow it to shape you? And what are you going to do with it? And, looking back now from where I stand now, it's just like, wow, I have to pinch myself sometimes where I am now and what I'm able to do now. And I think one of the biggest things is just like you said earlier, the understanding the value of your story.
It's
Yeah.
so beautiful. I think the writing itself is very cathartic. It really, really helps kind of give a whole different perspective, but also on the publishing, it almost like it sets you free.
Yeah.
Once you release
Yeah.
it to the world,
That's
it no
true.
longer
So
holds
true.
over you.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
know?
So true.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
true.
So true.
I
And I
was
love the
thinking
way
the,
it's written. And I won't say too much in case anyone writes the book, but like you get me very interested in the story. Like, what? Wow.
yeah.
And then I love how you go into like, your mindset and personal growth and development. And then you go back into the story. It's
hmm
really, wow, what a story. And just, what you've done with your
Beautiful.
life since then, right? And
Thank
really
you.
healed yourself.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful book.
Yeah, I decided that I didn't want to just chronologically go through the story or make the book
Yeah.
all about the story. What I
Yeah.
wanted to do was make the book about how you can transform your life and make it like a self-development or inner transformational journey
Exactly.
The
for the
journey.
reader.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
weave the story in throughout, and then show them how they can take that and apply it, and that's why I have a workbook to go with it. Just
Yeah. Now, that's a great idea, the workbook too.
yeah,
That's very good
yeah,
idea. I love
yeah.
that.
Here's the workbook. Dee-dee-dee.
Yeah. Ooh.
Isn't that
I
pretty?
love it how it matches. And yeah,
Yeah, it
because
matches.
it is hard to put all those exercises in a book. So this is
Yeah,
really great that you have,
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome.
So
I'm definitely going to put the link up. I'm telling you, everyone, this book is amazing. So I will
Thank
put the
you.
link up. But before, we get to that and we've closed. Becky, so tell us about the process, like the publishing journey, and if someone wants to write a book, like how to get all this started and what to do. And
It is quite a journey. I typically like to work with an author that has gone through the editing stage. And the reason is I used to do it from start to finish. And the
Wow.
editing is such a deeply personal, very, there's a lot. Those editors kind of feel, it almost feels like they chop it up and
Yes.
dissect it. And you're like, and I found that the busier I got with a bigger client load, that I felt like I couldn't serve the right way.
Oh, yeah.
And so now my request is bring me a edited copy. And usually the conversation, like with Janelle, happens much sooner. And I guide them. I have a nice bank of really nice editors, really good editors.
Good.
And so I'll refer them over, and normally my editors keep me posted all along the way. So I know where they are in the process. And then as they start getting to that closing part of it, that's when we begin together. And then from there, it's okay, well, what do you have? Do you have a course that you can talk about in your book? Because this book is your calling card. This book is your kind of your business card in some respects. It's not, it's a tool for business growth, but looking at it, I've worked with some of my authors, even though they've gone through the editor, they didn't weave hardly any storytelling. And it was like, and I've had to send it back to them. You must put some storytelling into this.
Yeah.
One gentleman was really sweet man, but it was on financial planning. But I was like, I can't stand this book.
Yeah, no, reading about that start to finish, you have to have some story in
And so I kept sending them back. We've got to weave some story in there.
Yeah.
We've got to have something to give people, to draw people in, because if I was to pick up that book, I would never read it.
Yeah.
I would get the first chapter and say, this is just beyond boring. Once he wove those stories into it, and he talked about his mom being a single mom and all these things, it transformed that book. And he has come back to me so many times saying, thank you. He says, I didn't like you for a while.
Yeah, I don't want to tell the story, but it is,
Stories bring to life the concepts you're trying to say, that people get it in a story. Just dry information is.
Yeah.
Storytelling's been with us since the beginning of time.
Yep.
And storytelling are what makes our lives relatable. And that's the connecting fiber of everything. And if we can't put the storytelling in, we won't gain the hearts, touch the hearts that we're meant to touch.
Yes.
And so for in the publishing process, so we talk about in the very early stages, okay, do you have a course? What do you do in life that, how can this be woven in? What about using video? Video is so powerful for in the social media aspect of it. So we talk about, how can you take and do for each chapter a short video, making this book much more, it's beyond the words. It's getting to know who this writer is. So it makes it interactive. It just really changes it. And many times somebody reads the book, then they know they want to work with that person. It isn't just the words, they've heard the voice. They've felt the inflection of the words, and they felt that. And then, do we have a workbook? Can we make a workbook out of this? So we're taking what could have just been just a real basic book and be done with it into something that's a masterpiece. And truly beautiful. We work on, okay, can you start I make a lot of social media graphics for my authors, and they can do with them as they please. But as launch comes up, then I usually add extras and, like links to the book, all kinds of things with key pieces of those. We do a lot of talking about, I encourage my authors to read little snippets on live, live on Facebook or wherever their following is. All these little things that are just what gathers your tribe to you and gives you the exposure and actually helps you to learn or to reach the hearts. And we work on getting endorsements for the book, not testimonials, endorsements from key people that are in their name on your book makes all the difference in the world. And then
I saw the endorsements on Janelle's book. Very impressive.
Then we work on building a launch team, a solid launch team. These are people that know, love, and trust you, that also have a following. And that will share during the launch time. We make a flip book of, it's a PDF of the book, but it looks like a regular book because the pages flip. And we send that to the launch team and have them read. They don't have to read it all, but we ask them to read at least key chapters and write down a review and have it ready during lunchtime so that they can copy and paste the review and start making that social footprint for this book. Because what do we do when we look at a piece of furniture or a book or anything else that we're going to buy, especially online? We want to know what other people are saying about it. And so that's all part of the pieces. And then during lunchtime, we do live interviews. We really try to get a lot of exposure that way. So there's a lot of moving parts to it. And right now I'm actually working with my coaches, because one of the things that I see most with my authors is what happens after it's published, and what do they do to keep that book being seen? What do they do to
that's
get
the thing.
That's where I'm at right now.
And I'm working on some
fresh.
I'm working on some really cool packages, because I have long felt that was the missing piece, and it's time for me to do something about it. Because it's really heartbreaking, because you have authors that'll come back and say, well, I'm not selling anything, and that was a big waste. And well, I was hired to do the publishing. But the marketing is such a key to keep it out there and keep it to the fore. And I encourage getting on as many podcasts as you can, and being a guest on summits and doing these kind of things, these Facebook lives, all these things. These are each little thing we do is another footprint that is making its mark on the world. So it's quite a process, truly. There's a lot of work that goes into it. The design stages for the interior of the book, that's a lot of work. Because it isn't just the flourish and the pretty fonts that you use. It's also, that's when even the editor misses things. It always happens. The author misses things. I miss things, because our minds, when we've read it once, our minds say, yep, I know what that says. It's all good. And until you see it, when it's all laid out in a gorgeous, really looking good, then that's when you say, oh, I need to add this, or I need to add that, or whoa, why didn't any of us see that? And that's just that's the nature of the beast. That's just the process with publishing.
Wow.
And
what you do is amazing. And you, Janelle, both of you, I mean, honestly, you're such a contribution to women, to people. Really making a difference for people and getting a book out there and sharing your story and making it all happen and putting out a beautiful product, really acknowledge you both. Really incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anything else before, in closing, I'd love to hear a couple words of wisdom, a couple nuggets, if you'd like to offer everyone. But is there anything else you'd like to share about the book or anything that we missed? The publishing journey?
That's pretty much in a nutshell. There's a lot deeper things that go into it, but I believe that every person on the face of this earth has treasured gifts the world's just waiting to experience.
Yes.
Ooh, I love that. Yes.
Well,
All
one
right.
thing I don't think I brought out was that the process that I developed from reading all my journals, I call it the STAR process because it fit in that acronym really well. So that was one of the things I learned as I was writing the book, was that you need some sort of technology, they call it, or something that, you can call your own and put a name on it, like a process or whatever. So I started thinking, well, let me see, like, kind of what was this journey. And I started, like I said, I started to wake up to myself and say yes to myself. But then I went into this deep dive of being, the healing. And then I went out of that. I started really like feeling confident, and I started taking action. And then I felt like I was in this flow and out on center stage. So STAR stands for those 4 phases. S is stirring up your soul. T is truth telling, tell the truth to yourself. And then A is accept and activate, and R is release the river. So the book is divided into these 4 sections, and the workbook takes you through all the phases of that process. And so it's really cool because, and this is something I've been hearing back from people who have read it, like, not only are they getting a lot out of my story and all of that, but they are actually coming away with a step-by-step process, some things that they actually can do in their own lives.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about for me, is making a difference and giving them a tool to make a change. And then the other cool thing was, I remember early on when I was thinking about it, I was looking at all my journals and I was working with a coach, and we were talking about how to lay out the chapters and kind of what was the path, the journey I was going to take everybody on. And both of us realized that to make it really unique, I should start every chapter with an actual journal entry. He said, even if it's like a handwritten, like your picture of your actual journal. And so it's not handwritten, but it's a different font. And every single chapter starts with my journal entry, and it's a different font. It has a scripture and a quote and this journal entry. And so it really makes it unique and different. Which, if anybody is out there is listening and they're wanting to write a book, think of those like really unique things that you can do to make it really personal to you and make it really, stand out and different. And that was one thing I really loved that. And it gives people a little peek into my personal journals, to see. And I put my age of what age I was when I got that, or when I wrote that, just to give them a sense of my own journey. And it's straight out of my journal. So.
It's all those little special touches that make it really shine for you.
Yeah.
No, it's so special. Like, just even like you said, that, with the little butterflies and then the different fonts and then your journal and, and how even, the scanner, how you go back to the live videos. I think it's everything. It's just beautiful. The cover, amazing story, amazing author and publisher.
Eileen, you have your book coming out. Tell us what
My
it's
book is coming out in April 2020.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Can't wait.
So
I'm
exciting.
excited. Scary because I've never done this before. So I've really learned a lot from listening to you ladies tonight. So thank you. So
well,
much.
I'd love to support you and do a live interview for you as well, and promote you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yay, thank you
We'd
so
be happy
much.
to.
Thank you.
I'd love
Really
to
appreciate that, ladies. And thank you for sharing so much, your stories and, all the things you do for everyone in the world, and this beautiful book and the publishing journey. And I will share the book and, how to get a hold of Janelle, Becky, if you're ready to write a book and, or coaching with Janelle, like, I will leave all the links for everyone. So
Absolutely.
yes. And thank you so much. And
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Really fabulous. You are welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone. Good night. Have a great night. Thanks for joining in, everyone. I don't see any comments, but if we will definitely, keep up with the chat, and we can answer them. I can tag you ladies on it if there's questions. So
okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
all right. Thanks
Thank you.
all.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks.